6.6, writing two variable inequalities. What we're doing today is we are doing what we've been practicing only in reverse. So you're given an inequality graph today, and we are actually writing the inequality itself. All right, so we're going to start with some review, and these are things that we learned in Unit 4 when we focused on linear equations. So let's start with our m and our b values, slope and y-intercept. All right, I think this one's easier. We're gonna look at b first. My y-intercept, my b value is way down here at -9. And my slope, well, we kind of have to figure out. So let's take a look at this graph. Remember, when we're finding slope, we want to identify really nice points on our grid. And then we just have to remember that slope is rise over run. So I'm going to rise 1. I'm actually going down 1, so I'm going to do a -1 and right 2. So my slope is -1/2. All right, yep, that does look like a negative slope, just to double check. So my m value is going to be -1/2. Now the line and the shading is talking about the inequality part of this thing. So this line is a solid line, not a dashed line. And we have shaded below the line that's drawn. And so this is telling us what kind of inequality we're going to use. The fact that it's solid means that it has that or equal to symbol. And the fact that it's below means we need a less than sign. So instead of saying y equals mx plus b, y equals the slope and the y-intercept, we're using an inequality because of the shading here. So just go ahead and do this like normal, -1/2 x, because it's slope, minus 9. Just kind of a cool way I wanted to show you guys to double check your answer with the TI-84 plus. And it doesn't have to be the color TI-84 plus. If you go ahead and go to y equals, I'm going to type in this equation that we just got. So negative, I'm just going to do 0.5 to save time, x minus 9. All right. Now, if you highlight this line symbol right here and just click until we see it shaded below, all right, we're going to go down, and then we're going to just scroll through here. So that is now shading above, and this one is shading below. If you keep scrolling, you get some other things, which we don't really want. So we're going to do shading below, right? We want this one right here. So I'm going to click OK, right? Enter. And now when I graph this, it should kind of look similar to what we see in our notes, right? Is our y-intercept -9? Yep. Is our slope negative? Yes. Is our slope -1/2? Hopefully, it's kind of hard to tell from right here, but you kind of get the idea. This is a way to get a kind of a ballpark idea of if your inequality is correct. All right, let's take a look at problem number 2. Same idea, same type of thing. We've got our y-intercept here at +3. And our slope, we just need to find a couple of good points. These ones look good, so we're doing rise over run. And I see that I'm rising 2 and I'm running 1. So my slope is 2 over 1, which is just 2. My line is solid again, but this time I have shaded above my line. Let's go ahead and write our inequality, right? It's a solid line that has shaded above. So my inequality, because it's solid, needs the or equal to symbol. And we've shaded above, which means it's going to be a greater than sign. So instead of saying y equals, we have y is greater than or equal to, and then we use the slope and the y-intercept to write our equation. So 2x with a +3. You can go ahead and try your calculator trick again if you want to kind of just double check here. Let's see here, 2x plus 3. Only this time I want to shade above my line. So let's click here. And we can go through here till we have it shaded above, which looks like that. And click graph. Okay, that looks pretty good. That looks really similar to what I see in my notes, so that's a good way to double check. And let's see, let's keep going with our notes. All right, example 3. My y-intercept is -5. You can't exactly see it crossing because it's a dashed line, but it does cross right there. My slope in this case, Let's see, this point looks like a maybe, but if I go up 1 over 3, my next point would be here, which does not work. So let's try something else. Oops. Let's try up 1 over 4. Up 1 over 4. Yeah, there we go. So my rise over run is up 1, right 4. So my slope is 1/4. All right, in this case, I have a dashed line, not a solid line. And I shaded above my dashed line. So let's talk about my inequality. Because it was a dashed line, I actually don't need this. So I just need the fact that it's above, which is going to be a greater than sign. So I've got y is greater than 1/4 x, because that's my slope, minus 5. All right, again, let's double check. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but you can't do the dashed or solid lines on this, not that I know how to do anyway. So just kind of make sure it's shading in the right place. In this problem, it is shading above, so we're going to leave that alone, and we're going to type in 0.25x, right, 1/4 x, minus 5. Let's take a look. All right, looks pretty close to what I see on my notes, so I'm going to move on. Example number 4. When we get these horizontal or vertical lines on our graphs, we often get them confused. Is it x equals or is it y equals? We know hopefully that it's one of those special cases. So let's kind of talk about which one is which. Do we have a y-intercept? Do we have a b value? We do. We do. It does cross the y-axis, so that's going to be a -6. Your calculator can only do y equals. So take that intercept, -6, and type it in here. All right, we are shading below, so we can mess with this again. Oops. All right, so let's take a look. Let's take a look and see if this graphs correctly. Okay, it does. That matches exactly what I'm looking for. So my inequality is going to be y is less than -6. Just because it's a horizontal line. Let's talk about the other things that we should know. You should know that a horizontal line has a slope of 0. I think we all know that's a dashed line shaded below. Hopefully we know that a dashed line shading below requires us to use a less than sign. It does not need this inequality under here because it's a dashed line. And then -6. Remember guys, if it crosses the y-axis, it's y equals, or in this case, y is less than. If it had crossed the x-axis like this, that would have been x equals 6. All right, so if it crosses the x-axis, it's x equals, y-axis is y equals. All right, and we already double checked in our calculator, so that's going to be it for now. All right, don't forget your inequality tells you where to shade and what kind of line to use. Don't forget to find slope, rise over run, and I think we're all pretty good with finding y-intercepts.